Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the inquiry into the numbers, because I do think it is important that we understand and come to an agreement about what we're really talking about here. Just with regards to the process, and Mr. Smith, this goes to you. It would appear to me that we've fixed the front end of the process. The middle end, the middle area there with FERC seems to be moving forward. But what we haven't addressed here is what happens on the back end, the challenges with the final DOE order and the fact that it appears to just be open-ended. There's no timetable for these final licenses here. What would be your reaction, the Department's reaction, to Congress legislating that DOE has some time frame here following the final approval from FERC to make its own final assessment? In other words, to put a back end in it. You're in a situation where NEPA has already been completed then, which of course is at that lengthy unknown. Would a 3-month period be sufficient, 6 months, the merits of allowing for some level of certainty or finality to the process here through DOE?
Well, thank you very much for the question, Senator. First of all, we appreciate and understand the interest and your interest in the market's interest in certainty around this process. And that's been a principle that we've endeavored to preserve throughout our entire process of evaluating these applications. When we announced our proposed process change, we did not put in place a time limit. Instead, we continued with the commitment we've always made to make sure that we're moving forward as appropriately and expeditiously as possible to make good public interest determinations. Senator Udall did mention the possibility that's included in the bill that's currently being proposed to include a time limit. Again, that's not something that we've included in our process change.
Is it something that you think would make sense to provide that level of certainty and expediency to a process?
Well, indeed, we always are going to uphold the letter and the spirit of the law. That would hold our feet to the fire, certainly, and ensure that there's a start and close to the process. And within that time limit, we would make sure that we made a good and appropriate public interest determination.
Let me ask the question, and I think I'll direct this, well, Mr. McNally, it was initially directed to you, but I can have others jump in here as well, because we talk about the opportunities for us as a nation with these amazing reserves and resources that we have, not only for the benefit of this country, but for the benefit of our friends and allies. But yet, it's not just us that has this, and it has been mentioned that there are other nations clearly that have the ability to jump into this market. They are our competitors in that sense. So when we talk about an opportunity for us from a global competitiveness perspective, if we have a process that doesn't allow for a timeliness and for a level of certainty, how competitive are we really out there in that global marketplace? And Mr. McNally, Mr. Durbin, and anyone else care to comment?
Thank you for that. And if I could, I will be correcting myself. I gave you, Madam Chair, the proved economic reserves. I'll be adding a 0 and giving you another number for total technologically recoverable reserves. Senator Murkowski, you're absolutely correct. There's a window we have to jump through. We have our old competitors, Qatar and Australia, having built or in the process of building world-class facilities. And we have new kids on the block, Tanzania and Mozambique, and perfectly placed to compete in Asia, who will be bringing on huge projects. And we have to jump into that window. It takes many years to finance and build and construct a project, even with a quick approval process. So we do have this window. There are enormously long lead times in this industry. It's crucial that we move quickly to get our companies in the game.
Mr. Durbin?
I included in my written testimony, and in fact, figure 6 is there's a chart in there. But the answer to your question is that, right now we believe that in the next 10 years or so, there's about 18 to 38 BCF of incremental demand globally. If you look outside of the U.S., there's already about 50 BCF of projects that are planned or potentially being built. not all of those are going to be built. In the U.S., if you took all of our, the applicants, it would be north of 30 BCF a day. Again, not all of those are going to be built. The more important point is we've only got that incremental demand that's available, and if we don't move quickly to be able to make sure that we get part of that market, again, it's going to be the early movers that are going to have a competitive advantage in that global market.
Well, Madam Chairman, my time has expired, but I will note for my colleagues here that we here in Alaska know what it means when we're talking about a window of opportunity, because it was just a few short years ago that Alaska was looking to move its natural gas resource, and the whole prospect was moving it across Canada and then bringing it into the lower 48 states. We lost that window of opportunity as a state. It is no longer on the table. It is no longer part of the consideration. And we're trying to figure out, okay, where is the market for Alaska gas? But windows of opportunity do not stay open indefinitely.